Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're heading into Prohibition-era Chicago, a really rough and tumble world.
Definitely.
And we're exploring the surprising origins of the 42 gang.
Right. This teenage crew kind of operating in the shadows back then.
Exactly, but they ended up producing some really major figures in the Chicago outfit.
Some of the most notorious, yeah. We're pulling from historical records, things like the Mafia Encyclopedia, to really understand how this group of kids basically left such a big mark.
It's fascinating because you think of these huge crime syndicates, and you don't always picture, where they actually came from.
No, you picture this like ready-made structure, but the reality is often, well, messier. Smaller groups, unpredictable paths.
And the 42 gang is a prime example of that, right?
Yeah.
How youthful delinquency in that specific time and place
Could become a stepping stone, a crucial one, actually, for a major criminal enterprise later on.
Okay, so let's paint the picture. Chicago. Prohibition. Booze flowing illegally. Gangs fighting over turf.
A city just ripe with opportunity, if you were on that side of the law.
And it's in that environment around 1925 that the 42 gang pops up.
Yeah.
How did they get started? What do the records say?
Well, they started small, maybe 24 members initially. But what's really striking, some of these kids were as young as 9.
Many years old. Wow.
It's jarring, isn't it? To think of kids that young involved in, well, what quickly became pretty serious crime.
And the name, 42.
Yeah, the story goes they were inspired by Alibaba and the 40 Thieves. The boast was, we're one better.
Huh. A bit cheeky. And where were they based?
Their turf was in neighborhoods called the Patch and Little Hell, sort of northwest and near north of the main downtown area, the Loop.
Little Hell? Doesn't sound very inviting.
No, it doesn't. Paints a picture, right?
And their activities.
Right.
I mean, we're not just talking about kids throwing rocks at windows here.
Not at all. It started with vandalism, maybe some petty theft, sure.
Yeah.
But it escalated quickly. Car stripping, stealing horses, sometimes even killing them, maybe for meat, we don't know for sure. Burglaries, cigar stores seem to have been a target. And then armed holdups of nightclubs.
So, serious violent crime.
Absolutely. They got a reputation fast for being violent. And they got into gang wars, took some heavy losses themselves, apparently.
And the law caught up with...
Oh, yeah, high arrest rates. And not just for robbery. We're talking really serious stuff. Murder. Killing robbery victims, people they thought were informants. Even police officers.
These are teenagers, some even younger.
It's a brutal picture of the time.
Yeah.
And the youth involved, this wasn't just kids messing around. This was hardcore criminality taking root really, really young.
Which brings us to that incident at the reformatory. The Illinois State Boys Reformatory, 1928. This sounds almost unbelievable.
It really does. It shows an incredible level of defiance. The superintendent, Major William J. Butler, he got a direct threat.
From who? The kids inside?
From 42 members demanding he release their, quote, pals who were locked up there.
What did the threat say?
It was blunt. Something like, unless you let our pals go, we'll come down there and kill everybody we see. We've got plenty of men and some machine guns.
Machine guns. From teenagers threatening a state reformatory.
Yeah. You can imagine Major Butler might have initially thought, okay, kids talking tough.
But then the Chicago police got involved.
Right. They basically told him, no, listen, you need to take this seriously, which tells you something about the gang's reputation already.
So what did Butler do?
He armed himself, and he called the Illinois National Guard.
The National Guard. For a threat from teenage gang members.
That's what the sources say. It really underlines the fear, or at least the notoriety they'd built up.
And wasn't there some kind of scouting party incident?
Yeah, apparently some more boys were caught outside the reformatory walls, and they were supposedly bragging, saying they were there to, scout for the machine gunners who were coming later.
Just brazen.
Totally. And you can bet the Chicago newspapers went crazy with this story.
Oh, I bet. What was the public reaction like?
Intense. There's that quote that jumps out from the Chicago Tribune, basically saying, these kids deserve Joliet prison or the electric chair.
For juvenile offenders. Wow.
It really shows that the public panic, the feeling that things were out of control.
So this incident, it really put the 42 gang on the map, didn't it? Beyond just local trouble.
Absolutely. This kind of threat, the official response, it got a lot of attention. And it seems it got the attention of some bigger players in the Chicago underworld.
Right, which leads us neatly into their connection with the big leagues, the Chicago outfit.
Yeah.
Al Capone's operation.
Exactly. How does a gang of violent kids get noticed by them?
Yeah, how did that happen?
Well, the sources suggest it was partly down to how they spent their money. The robbery money, presumably.
Sure.
In the outfit speakeasies, their hangouts, these young guys were flashing cash around. That gets noticed.
Makes sense. So the outfit saw them, maybe used them.
Sometimes, yeah. Occasionally hired them for odd jobs, like running beer, driving trucks. Simple stuff.
But not brought into the fold initially.
Generally, no. The word was they were seen as too risky, too unpredictable, too wild, maybe.
But there's always a but, isn't there? There was one guy who changed that.
There was. Sam Giancana. You might know the name Momo Giancana.
The Sam Giancana. He came from the 42 gang.
He did. He seems to be the crucial link here, the bridge between the street gang and the hierarchy of the outfit.
What was special about him? Why him?
He built a reputation. Apparently, he was a very skilled getaway driver, a good wheelman.
Okay.
And crucially, he was seen as calm under pressure. That probably set him apart from some of the others.
So that skill, that demeanor, that got him noticed by the outfit leadership.
Seems so. He was the first 42 guy to actually join the outfit proper.
And he didn't just join, he rose up, right?
Yeah.
Became a protege.
Exactly. He got in good with guys like Tony Joe Batter Zaccardo and Paul the Waiter Rica. Very powerful figures.
And once Giancana was in, did he bring others with him?
That's the key. He facilitated it. He opened the door for other 42 alumni to follow him into the outfit.
And we're not talking about just one or two guys.
No, not at all. The list is pretty long and, frankly, notorious. Sam Teets Battaglia.
Heard of him.
Luigi Cockeye Louis Fratto. Felix Milwaukee. Phil Aldericio.
Okay, yeah.
Mad Sam DeStefano, Charles Chucky, Nicoletti, Fiore Fifi Buccieri, William Smokes Eloisio, Frank Skids Caruso. The list goes on. Willie Potatoes, Dodano, Joseph DeVarco.
It's like a who's who of mid-century Chicago outfit figures.
It really is. Many of them came up through the 42 gang. It acted like this incredibly violent training ground.
An unintentional farm team for the Mafia.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it. And Giancana himself, he kept rising, became the operating head of the whole outfit in 1957.
Wow. From teenage car stripper and horse thief to the boss of the Chicago outfit.
Quite a trajectory. And the influence of these 42 guys, it lasted for decades. Well into the 1970s, they were major players.
But it wasn't a guaranteed path to the top just because you were 42, was it? I remember reading about Paul Battaglia.
Ah, right. That's a really important counterpoint. A cautionary tale, maybe.
What happened to him? He was an early leader, wasn't he?
Yeah, one of the originals. Known for robbing illegal betting parlors, horse betting rooms.
So stepping on the outfit's toes, potentially.
Exactly. He was seen as interfering with their operations, their rackets, and the outfit didn't tolerate that.
Oh.
So they eliminated him, killed him in 1938.
Just like that.
Just like that. It shows that even if you came from that same background, the outfit's rules, their structure, their profits, that came first. Loyalty wasn't automatic.
So this gang, incredibly violent, feeding members into the outfit, but also incredibly dangerous for the members themselves right from the start.
Oh, definitely. There was a sociological study done back in 1931.
What did it find?
It painted a pretty grim picture. Even by then, just 6 years after they started, over 30 of the original members were already dead, seriously injured, or locked up for major felonies.
30 members out of maybe how many originals? 24 plus others who joined. That's a huge attrition rate.
Massive. Murder, armed robbery, assault. The consequences caught up with a lot of them very quickly. It was a brutal, high-risk life.
So the farm team idea really holds up. Like you said, similar to maybe some gangs in Brooklyn, Anglo Jewish gangs.
Right. These street gangs, often popping up in, tough neighborhoods, marginalized communities, they provided this harsh education.
Learning the ropes of crime, violence.
Exactly. Building street smarts, criminal skills, making connections, forging loyalties, or finding out what happens when you break them. All stuff that could be valuable if you survived and moved up.
Okay, so let's try and pull this together. We started with this teenage street gang, the 42 gang, emerging in Prohibition Chicago.
Shockingly young members involved in really serious violent crime almost immediately.
They gain notoriety, make threats involving machine guns against the state reformatory.
Which gets them noticed not just by the law, but by the outfit.
And then through key figures, especially Sam Giancana.
They transition, some of them anyway. They become integral parts, even leaders of one of the most powerful criminal organizations in America.
It's a pretty startling story, isn't it? the trajectory.
It really is. It highlights those unexpected pathways in the criminal world, how seemingly small, chaotic beginnings can lead to, well, positions of immense power and influence.
A powerful reminder that these big organizations often have roots in something much smaller, much younger, and often much more violent at the ground level.
Definitely. The 42 Gang story really drives that home.
And for you, listening to this, hopefully this deep dive gives you maybe a darker but certainly a fascinating look into how organized crime works, the dynamics, the recruitment, the unexpected paths people take.
Yeah, paths that lead sometimes to power, but often, as we saw, to prison or an early grave.
So maybe a final thought to leave you with. What was it about that specific time, Prohibition Chicago, the society back then? What factors allowed such a violent teenage gang to even exist, let alone thrive in the way it did?
That's a deep question. The poverty, the social upheaval, the breakdown of norms during Prohibition, maybe?
And maybe the more profound question is, do similar factors, maybe in different forms, exist today?
Right. How might those factors still be shaping the recruitment, the evolution of criminal groups now? What does the 42 story tell us about the roots of these things that might still be relevant?
Something to think about. It's definitely a sobering history.
It really is.